Dear participants, please pay attention. Soro sir is going to start the session. So,
Yes, hi everyone. Welcome once again. Now, I'll just take the session ahead with what we have discussed in last session related to sensor interfacing, and there we have understood the mode of sensors, data that we'll be getting from different or various category of sensors. Once you got the data, either on any platform, what to do with that? The one direction of doing something with that data was taking action in terms of immediate triggering, other digital input output pins, which we have done through relay, right? We have just configured one of the output device that was bulb at the time, right? And this is how we can just take our actions to activate other purpose output pins. But apart from that, many things, many different things can be done, many extra things can be done. So we'll try to analyze those things. I'll let you know whether how can we collect our data, how can we just checking out the logs, right? At what time exactly, and what exactly that our sensors has been triggered, right? So we'll try to analyze data, we'll try to monitor this data, we'll try to send sensory data to a cloud. This is what we are going to do in this session in next few minutes. Okay, so let me tell you the entire concept once again, and before that let me share the screen once again. Yeah, so I hope the screen is visible.
yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Okay, sir, thank you. Just a minute, sir. Yeah, so we have done sensor interfacing. Now let's try to understand what if uh, our data is not, or sensor is not digital, right? Let's try to see if the sensor is working in analog mode. Okay. Uh, this writing pad is creating issue on WebEx. Let's try with other ways. Okay, suppose my sensor is analog in nature. What would be the simplest way of connecting that analog sensor with Raspberry Pi? Okay. So like we have seen, we can have Arduino in between. This is what we have understood in last session. Saying this sentence, whether just connect Arduino in between, it's very easy thing. But like I said, you will be receiving your data from analog sensor to Arduino. It's easy in writing your program in C language. So, but how to send your data from Arduino to Raspberry Pi? How will that Raspberry Pi receive the data? What will be the speed of communication? What will be the protocol of communication? What will be the rule of communication between these two devices? Since it is a node and this will be master, right? So node and master communication, it has a different concept altogether. How many? Okay, this will be, suppose, node one. Just consider this is your node one. If you have more than one sensors, suppose analog sensor number one, two, likewise you have many sensors. You have, suppose, 50 sensors, 50 different sensors, and which is very common in industries. Suppose there is a machine, right? It's a lathe machine. So on lathe machine, there could be n number of parameters to be observed, right? There could be 50 parameter, 50 different sensors. How will you send that information from all those different places? Maybe suppose lathe machine is very big. How will you sense the data? Some values will be in digital, some values will be in analog in nature, right? So you will collect every single information on one of the hardware. It's not possible even through one single Arduino also. You may require two Arduinos, three different Arduinos, depending the need of this architecture. So considering that we have, suppose, 5 nodes, right? We have 5 nodes, node number 1 till node number 5, and we are sending this information to Raspberry Pi. So what should be the mode of communication? What should be the way of communicating these nodes with Raspberry Pi, right? So let's try to understand that for a few minutes, and we'll try to understand the way out, and then we'll see, okay, once the data is available in Raspberry Pi, what to do with that. Do we need to share this on cloud? Do we need to send this information somewhere? Do we need to store that in Raspberry Pi itself? Do we need to take some predictive decisions? We need to analyze the data itself on Raspberry Pi. After analysis, whichever information, maybe suppose there are 50 sensors, right? So out of 50 sensors, like, they're sending information every second, right? So within 1 hour, within one day, within 1 week, there could be a lot of different files created because of those values being sent from sensors to Raspberry Pi. So if we'll have a file of data available on Raspberry Pi, how can we just extract the rightful information, which upon which we can be taking decisions, right? If this sensor, uh, sound sensor, is just continuously sending 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, right, every second. So within a week, within a month, there'll be it will be a huge file if you'll store every single bit of information, right? So how will you store, even you are receiving that the zero was being sent at 3 o'clock, three you know three uh, uh 3 o'clock, or 3.50 minutes, right? Depending upon time, date, status, location, couple of information you are receiving from this particular sensor itself, and every single information is being stored in this file itself, right? So how will you store that file? How will you just extract the only informative information from this file? How will you just ignore the other amount of data? Let's try to understand that, that in proper concept. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm just getting some issues. Yeah, suppose this is node 1, node 2 till node 50, right? One Arduino is one Arduino is node number 1, and you have to connect all the nodes. There could be not only 50, there could be thousands also, right? There's no limit of connecting nodes. So there is a Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi can be considered as your master, right? And nodes are such devices which have few sensors connected: sensor number 1, sensor number 2, sensor number 3. Likewise, there'll be some sensors here. These sensor could be analog or digital. Finally, your data will be available on all the nodes, right? And likewise, if there is one lathe machine, right, so that is okay. If there are 50 lathe machine, right, available at one single location, maybe Jaipur, right? Likewise, there are 50 location in the world, right? At different locations, you are sending, data to a one particular control room only. So it becomes very, very important and challenging that how will you receive your entire information, though your information is getting increased, every second. All those sensors are sharing information so quickly. So it's quite important to analyze your information and take predictive analytics, right? Predictive measures on all those values. So your Raspberry Pi could be good for one of the location. You can consider either in Jaipur, for all 50, 100, 200, 500 machines, one Raspberry Pi could be enough. That could be called as master device, okay? Because Raspberry Pi has enough memory. It has memory card, right? It could be of 128 GB also. Within 8 to 10 or 12 GB, operating system will be installed, and remaining 100 GB will be enough for your data to be stored here for at least 1, 2, 3, 5 years, right? Depending the amount of information that you are saving. So, but still, will you really receive, or will you really save 100 GB of data at one Raspberry Pi one location? Apart from that, will you be interested sharing this data instead of 100 GB, extracting rightful information in maybe 10 MB only, right? Will you share the 10 MB of information over a cloud? And likewise, 50 different locations, like Jaipur was a location, right? 50 different location would have 10 MB data to be shared per month, per week, or maybe per year. So likewise, 10 MB into 50 locations will share this information to a cloud. And here on this cloud, you will be able to measure and monitor everything very quickly, very easily, right? So how to establish this network, how to work on this network, what will be the right mechanism? Let me just tell you about it. So if you have node number 1 and maybe 50 nodes with to be connected with Raspberry Pi, only one single Raspberry Pi, there could be a network of Raspberry Pi. And you just, okay, one more thing. Suppose you have Jaipur location with one Raspberry Pi. Let me name it as RPi1. Okay. Similarly, you'll have RPi50. So, or you can say M1, master 1 to master 50. So if you are sharing all these, you are sharing information from one location to another, from another to next to next, right? All 50 are sharing information to another hardware. This is your actual master, which will be called as, which could be available at one of the control room only, right? So this actual master, which is receiving your information from all those Raspberry Pi from different locations, you are actually sharing your information among all these Raspberry Pi or master number 1 till master number 50, right? Or you can say local master number 1 to local master number 50, right? So this is what is called as fog computing. This is called as fog computing, right? Now you are sending information among each other, right? Now you are sending the combined information to a particular location. Maybe suppose USA. You're sharing this information to a USA, a location in California, right? So using a cloud, using a website, using a medium through using internet, using any protocol, you are sending this information from all of these all of these hardwares to one of the control room will be called as cloud computing, right? And whatever will be happening here at Raspberry Pi, only one single Raspberry Pi, only one single master device, because here you were having data coming from 50 nodes, and every node has 2 to 5 sensors, right? So you are receiving the data in file, and even here also on this file you are taking decision. You are collecting your information in very organized way, like you received your data from node number one, from sensor number one, at this time, at this location, this and that, right? Everything is getting maintained very easily on this file. So what exactly you have done on this Raspberry Pi, whatever computation that you have done, whatever manipulation or calculation that you have done with this data, right, is called as edge computing, right? So this is your edge device. This is what is happening in between all of those edge devices among each other. The communication that is happening or taking place is called as fog computing. And if they are sending information to a cloud or particular location using any internet protocol, is called as cloud computing. These three factors or terms are quite important and very much popular nowadays in IoT, right? So under IoT, Internet of Things, there are three important parameters to be measured: edge, uh, fog, and cloud, right? You can see it becomes EFC, right? Now let's understand the communication now, right, between node and Raspberry Pi. Depending upon the distance, depending upon the data flow or speed, right? How much amount of data at what speed till what distance that you want to communicate. Depending upon these factors, of course, our budget, our expenses, our size of the product, right? Everything matters a lot. Based on these requirement, we'll be able to decide whether it will be a physical, wired, or wireless mode, right? Wired or wireless mode. So in wired mode, there could be either LAN LAN connection, or it could be normal parallel wires, or it could have, however, you can consider optical fiber communication as wired communication also. It considered to be sometimes wired and wireless both, right? So you can use any of these category. If your communicate, I mean, distance is quite long, and you don't want physical dependability of making connections, then you can go with wireless mode, where the first very important and easiest option you would find it out, that is Bluetooth. The second could be Wi-Fi. The third could be Zigbee. The another could be LoRa nowadays, right? Apart from this, you can have Z-Wave. There are multiple RF frequencies which you can use for wireless communication, and you can have multiple methods and communication protocols like I've just listed out: UART, SPI, one wire interface, two wire interface, and everything in wired mechanism, right? Well, if in our case today, okay, in our case today, let me consider, suppose I have a one single sensor number one, analog sensor number one, and I've just transferred the data into Arduino. From Arduino, I have to send it to a Raspberry Pi. How should I share this, and what will be mechanism? So, in Arduino, you will have USB port or USB cable. In Arduino, you'll have USB cable, right? So through USB cable, there could be multiple mode. Once again, I'm telling you, right? So there could be USB, there could be UART, you could be having SPI communication, you could have one wire interface, you could have two wire interface or I2C. You can use any protocol. You can use CAN also, right? So since we are talking about the easiest option. So you can use Arduino USB cable directly inserted into USB port of Raspberry Pi. Okay, from USB cable of Arduino would be inserted directly into USB port of Raspberry Pi. That's quite easy. That's very simple. Now consider that here, means you can think whether here we need USB protocol. No, here we have a serial interface. In Arduino, you have a serial library, right? So using serial library, serial interface, you can send information from Arduino using C programming over on this particular USB, right? On one of the baud rate, you have a baud rate or data rate to be defined here. Support baud rate is 9600. So whatever you send from this Arduino, right, using same cable on this particular baud rate, you have to define everything same. Here in Python also, in Python program, we have to install serial library, right? Or PySerial, the actual name is PySerial, right? So this library, so that data which is coming from from this USB port serially, right, could be received at the same baud rate. You have to select same baud rate. Also, because in Raspberry Pi there could be 4 USB port, USB number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So on which USB port that you have connected this cable on, you have to select the port number, right? So with baud rate, with port number, you'll be able to receive the same amount of data. Suppose you have sent a data with this function serial dot write, suppose temperature value, right? So suppose the temperature value was 30 degree, only 30, right? Without any textual value, right? So we have just sent 30 from Arduino. So here on Raspberry Pi side, the same baud rate 9600, support port number was COM number 2, right? COM port number 2, communication port number 2. Okay. So now you'll be receiving with this command called PySerial, that serial dot read from these two things at this baud rate, and the data will be received in this variable D. Now you would receive this data, means 30 degree. You will have D with this value available. If you want to check at what time that you have received this data, you can use time library using time dot ctime function. You'll be able to get current information of the time, right? So current information of time, date, everything will be received by this function, and you've got the data temperature value directly here at D. So now you have this information. Okay. Also you can send one more information, temperature value from node number 1 and sensor number 1, right? You can have a sensor ID, you can have node ID, you can send that ID directly with this temperature value also. So everything has been received, node number 1, sensor number 1, and everything along with the time. Now this information should be saved in one of the variable, right? You can save this in a variable called, suppose, data. Now this data can be saved in a file data dot excel. You can have an Excel file in which everything could be saved out. Okay, so this will be the mechanism. I'm telling you about the mechanism. Exactly the same rules, same method, same flow should be used to actually retrieve your information of your analog sensor from any specific sensor to this Raspberry Pi. Okay, we are talking about analog sensor in nature. Okay, I believe this will be easy for you to work along, right? Programming in Arduino using C, it's quite easy. Programming, in Raspberry Pi using Python is quite easy. Communication, just you need to understand whether how you should just share the information using USB protocol, using USB port. You can share that, right? It's quite easy. Now, I'm considering that we have got a data. Suppose, let me consider I have got a data on Raspberry Pi. It doesn't matter whether what type of data that I'm getting, right? So there is a library called random. Let me consider, I'll run this random function, right? Let me consider that randomly a value is coming of my temperature from 10 degree till 30 degree or 35 degree, right? Randomly any number will be coming in between this, and I'll consider that number as my temperature, which will be available at Raspberry Pi. Now what to do with this number, right? What to do with this number? Can we have a threshold? Can we have a temperature threshold, TH? Based on that, we can take decision. All the time, it will be automatically running a program, right? It will be a while loop again, within which we have to scan this data, which will be coming from randomly in between 10 to 35. If the threshold value of this temperature is maybe 20, like you can consider this is a experiment on virtual site, right? How do we set up everything virtually? Okay, this is a virtual mode of communicating or understanding things. Now apart from this, अगर हमारी value इस temperature threshold से ज़्यादा होगी, if we'll have more than this, then we can take action. Okay, right? Every second we have to receive this data, we have to take some action, and there'll be two actions. Either we can have action immediately or we can send this data to a cloud. Now to send a data to a cloud, we should have a cloud also, right? So we have open source cloud. We have we have many names of these clouds. Either you can talk about AWS, Azure, or IBM Watson, Google Cloud, everything, right? DigitalOcean, many number of names are available, right? So one IoT cloud which will be very much easy to interface with, and many of you are aware. I believe many of you would be aware, and that is ThingSpeak, right? So it's a cloud prepared by MathWorks. MathWorks is an organization which prepared MATLAB software or language, right? So it's one of the biggest software in the world for research for research purpose. Many organization used to use this if they are doing research, and I'm sure even Mercedes, right? All automobile companies, all aeronautics companies, all futuristic companies are working with this MATLAB itself right now. Okay, alternative of MATLAB language could be Python for some time, but not 100% in all respect. So there's a cloud called ThingSpeak that we can use as an open source. So we'll be able to send data through Python to this ThingSpeak, right? And to share this information, we should have a protocol again here, because we are using internet here. So we should use internet protocol. Earlier we were using, because between Arduino and Raspberry Pi, there must be hardware protocol. Now we should have internet protocol, right? So either you can use HTTP, you can use MQTT, couple of such protocols, depending which one is quite good for us to actually share the information. And one more thing, if this ThingSpeak does not support MQTT protocol, you'll not be able to use. If even this ThingSpeak supports MQTT, but your Python or Raspberry Pi does not support this compatibility, then also there's no possibility, right? So, well, the oldest and very easiest protocol that industry uses, that will be HTTP. Okay, so using HTTP protocol, will be able to send information from using Python from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak. Okay, and to communicate between these two, right? These two using HTTP protocol, we should have APIs, because nobody is going to give us the authentication for ThingSpeak. So ThingSpeak has, is providing us some APIs, means direct links. Using those links, right? Using those links, for the time being, I can just tell you, okay, this is a link for sharing the information. So overall, we would have some link due to which we'll be able to share or send the information from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak. Even if you are interested, suppose suppose I have shared the information for temperature, which was coming from this random library, which we were considering as temperature, right? Now I'm sending this information to this ThingSpeak, after 30 seconds or for 10 minutes, oh sorry, 10 seconds, right? So my temperature is suppose 30, 28, 19, something like this. Okay. Now I also want to see this. I want to see this graph somewhere else. I want to see a data. I want to see this graph, but whether how it's actually increasing and decreasing like that, right? I want to analyze every information of this data which is coming on cloud, right? So what I'll do now, just consider from Raspberry Pi we have shared information to a cloud ThingSpeak. Now what I'll do, this is my laptop. Suppose this is my laptop. Raspberry Pi is situated in Bangalore, right? And my laptop is in Delhi. What I'll do, I'll just write another Python program in my laptop itself. I'll use another API here. This will be read API and this will be write API. Right? Using write API will be able to share data to ThingSpeak and will be able to read the data, the same data. If the API ID is same, API ID means user ID, you can say, right? So API ID will be same, then you'll be able to receive the data, same data on the another laptop here. So using Python and analytical library, you'll be able to visualize the data also. So for this purpose, you can use any of the library, like you can have NumPy, you can have pandas, you can have matplotlib. These libraries actually visualize your data, right? Few more libraries are there in Python, which are good to work with data analysis. Like you can have Seaborn, you can have Plotly, right? You can have Dash. These are very good libraries. Either even because once you have got data in your computer, you can use R language also. You can use any particular language once your data is available with you. You can use any language to analyze your information. Even through Excel software also you'll be able to analyze, right? It doesn't matter. But this was the chain. This was the pipeline. Here we share this information from sensor to Raspberry Pi using Arduino embedded. That's it. So let's try to work on Raspberry Pi once again, and let's try to analyze everything whatever we've discussed. We'll work on a random library. We'll work on time library. We'll work on generating data and thresholding. We'll have a log. Then we'll share the information to ThingSpeak, and we'll go ahead. We'll try to analyze information. This is all which we are going to do in next few minutes. Any question, anyone with this concept, which I have just explained? Any issue, anyone? Please let me know. Should we go ahead now? Any question, anyone?
Saurabh sir, we can continue and we will take the question at the end.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. I'm just continuing with that. I'm taking. Yeah. So I have to get Raspberry Pi ready. So if I'll show you here, let me just log in into ThinkSpeak. You can create your own account here. It's free of cost using any MATLAB accounts or MathWorks account. You will be able to log in here. Okay. So we'll delete everything. Yeah. So let me create a new channel. So you'll be landing on ThinkSpeak, right? Just go on your account. You'll be landing here, right? This will be the page. Now you can create your channels, right? You can see your channels here. Click on new channel. Channel is nothing but a particular medium to interface your Raspberry Pi data with this cloud. Okay, you have created your account. One account would have one API ID. I'll show you basically that thing also. So you're creating a name of that channel. Suppose that is Triple IT Quota, and that's it. Let me save this name. So here every data visualization could be analyzed, right? We have to set up something for that as well. You can export your data, you can visualize some different graphs, methods, you can add widgets right here, and you can see your API IDs also here. Okay, you can see your API ID in the right side. So we have API key, write API key, and read API key. So there are two keys here, right? Using these keys we have got API IDs, sorry, API links, right? So this is what you have, API link for writing your data, and this is what is for reading your data. Okay, so whatever will be available on the cloud can be read through this API link, and using this link you'll be able to write something. Okay, so let me first of all show you if we'll how to actually test whether these APIs are working or not. So let me tell you that. So you can test that using, just try to copy this URL and paste it into any tab, right, in web browser, any web browser. Suppose I'm just writing here one. So two means two logs, two latest records. Three means three latest records. Four means four latest records, right? So one means latest record, the current one. So there's nothing, right? So feed is blank here. There's no ID. Last entry ID was null, means no such data has been communicated, right? So at what time that this link has been updated? 2021 December at this time. So this was the first time that has been this channel has been created. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll just okay I'll just copy this right API ID. I'll copy and paste. Here instead of 0, whatever I want to send, I can share, I can send. This is my first entry ever. This is my ID also. Okay, if I'll refresh this URL, now I have got the same data which I have sent. At what time that we have created this? It created at this point, entry number 1, right? If I have just changed this data, wow, entry number 2, if I'll refresh it, so I'm getting the latest one. I want to know whether what was the last two entries, right? So we have got all those two entries. At what time, at what number, this was the entry number 1, this was the entry number 2. Likewise, we have got the response from the API. Okay, so we are getting this response in this form, and this is called as data structure of your reply. We have to understand what is this data structure. Okay, I'll let you know whether how to actually extract the right information. The information is just this feed information, right? This one we need to extract this, that's it. We don't want any other information. However, this information will tell you, okay, from that node, from that Raspberry Pi, you are sending information, Triple IT Quota. Instead of that, if I'll write node number 1 or master number 1. So you'll be able to check, okay, from Raspberry Pi number 1 you are sending this information, from Raspberry Pi number 2 you are sending this information. Okay. You can use all these fields according to your need, whenever whichever you want to change, latitude, longitude, and everything is coming up. Okay. So let's go ahead. We have checked that we have two different API IDs. One is for writing, one is for reading, right? So let's just go on Raspberry Pi and let's understand. There's a library called requests as R, and there's a library called random as RM, and time as T. Let's try to use all three of them. While one, let's get the random data. D is equal to R. Let me show it here. Import random as RM. So RM dot random. This is a function. So as soon as I'll run this this function, right, again and again, so this random number is going to be changed, right? So every time I'm running this function, now this number is getting changed, right? So every time random number is getting generated. Likewise, there's a command called rm.randint. In between, suppose 10 to 30 that you want, right? If I'll run this command, so always there'll be a reply in between this range only. Okay, so between 10 till 30, a random number will be generated every time, right? So we need this command basically. So let me copy this and paste it here. So this while will be running continuously. Now let me just run it after a certain period of time. Okay, after 1 second, this loop will be running and a random number will be getting generated, right? So whatever that number is, let me just try to display that as well. D. Okay, let me save this program again on desktop. Okay. Right, T quota test. I'll run this. 16, 27, 12, 12, 25, 22. Randomly it will be coming up, right? It will keep on coming up after each second, right? Now we want to send this information to a cloud. Okay, let me just show you one more thing. Using Control C, you can stop this process, right? Because the program is running continuously. So there's a library called library function, right, called t.ctime. So ctime is a command to get the latest time updates. Sunday, December 26, 15th, 15, 12, 2021, right? This was a current time. We got a current time using this command. Okay, if we want to, just combine this data together, we can use it. So let me just get this td time data is equal to t dot c time as well. Right, I want to combine d and td together. So final time ft is equal to final data, final d fd is equal to td plus str of d, because d is coming in numbers and we have to add on everything together using this string data only, because the number which are coming are in numbers, so we want to concatenate everything. Suppose this data I'll receive, let me show you. I'll receive this data into maybe TD, right? And my number here was D. So D was 15. So can we say, can we add D plus TD? No, it's not possible. So TD plus STR of D will be added up. So 2021 and then 15. So there must be a gap in between, right? So that this temperature value can be separately extracted. So let me just do one thing. Let me add a space also here. Okay, so this is my final data. So if I'll just add like this, TD plus space plus STR of D is my final data, right? Where the last value is my temperature value, right? So let me run this code again. Okay, I have to just change this to FD. Sunday, December 26 at this time, this was the temperature, right? Okay. Now we want to share or send this information to the cloud, right? So we need that API ID, right? So let me log in into ThingSpeak here as well. So in Raspberry Pi, we have a browser, Chromium browser it is. We can use that for browsing any data on internet. So API ID, we want to write our data, right? So let me just write that using this ID. So let me copy it and come back to this code. So we have a request library through which we'll be able to request through web. Okay. So r dot get. There are two methods, get and post. Okay. So this ID you have just checked. This is a get method ID. Okay. Get ID. There are two methods, get and post, which are generally used in API communications. So I'm using get one because since the API ID is just for applicable for get method, right? So r dot get within bracket this URL, right? Now this URL has final value that is 0, right? So instead of 0, we want to send FD, which is my final data. So instead of this, we can just add FD with this, and that's it. Let me have a delay of 2 seconds. Let me save this and run it also. Yeah, right, so this program is running on the other on one side. Let's just check whether what will be the response, what will be the latest response, right? So what we have got, Sunday, December 26 at this time, this was the temperature range. If I'll keep on refreshing it, I'm sure here, let's just check. We are getting 16, 22, 20, 15. Right, so we've got 15 at this time. So we are getting real time, real date, real scenarios, and along with the temperature value also. I hope till this moment everything is okay and you have just understood what we have done, right? We have communicated, our Raspberry Pi data to a particular cloud. We have done that very easily. Like,
Saurabh sir,
yes, please.
yeah, sir, I have a question. Like, right now you are taking just one data, but how I can read all the datas over here? Like, you are writing one, so latest one is coming over there, but I want to read all the things, right? Right from the starting time to till this time. So how
Right.
can I do that?
You can have 10 values to check, no issues, right? You just need to change this number,
Okay, okay, okay,
right?
yeah, okay, sir.
I have just randomly written here 100, right? So depending upon how many values do we have, it can be returned back. And
Okay.
one more thing, right? If your response time is quite high,
Hmm.
right? So some of the values are going to be missing here. Now you can see we have sent couple of values here, right?
Hmm.
But at this side we have just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, overall 8 entries available. Yes or no?
Yes,
So
sir. Yes.
it should be very important to understand. See, we have got only 10 entries. However, there could be 30, 40 entries. So
Yes,
depending
sir.
on response time, we have to understand because HTTP is quite slow in comparison to MQTT or other protocols.
Okay.
So we have to
Okay.
take care of this thing in mind once we are sending data of any parametric values, right?
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
In fact, why only one parameter? Why only temperature data? Can't we have humidity data also? Let's just have one more parameter. D1 is temperature and this is your humidity, H, right? Consider this is your temperature and this is the humidity as well, right? And we'll be able to share the entire data to the cloud again. Just run this happen, see time. Okay, T, okay. So instead of TEMP, because T is already meant for time basically here. So T. So we are getting both of these variables, both of these parameters, 14 and 18. If our humidity is in between 10 to 30, it's good. Let's have maybe 50 to 100. And let me run this code. Okay, so we are getting two random values. And let me run this and check it also. Yeah, so we're getting two different values now here, right? So two values, two different values here. But this is what I don't want manually to check. I don't want to check this URL manually. I'll hit this URL, just remember this URL, I'll go on browser and hit it, right? For that, again, I need to just check it on different browser. Like, remember I was talking about another location, like I'm sitting in Delhi and I want to just communicate this data to a cloud, and from there we have to retrieve our data information on one of the computer. So let me try and then check, can we have this data available in my computer also real time? Okay, stop this process for a moment. Okay, so let's just try to write one more Python code. This is what I'm writing in a different computer. I'm writing this in my Mac basically, right? I'm not writing in just a second. I'm not writing in Raspberry Pi. So import requests, same library as r dot get. Now I have to use different URL. This one, read data, because I have to read this data from cloud. So I've got this. I just want a latest entry only, or I want 10 different entries also. That is also possible. I want 5 entries. That is also possible. We would get this data into D. Let me just get through while one. Import time as D. This D dot sleep every 5 seconds. Okay. I want to check this data. I'll show you what will come in D. It will not come. It will not be the data actually. Okay. So it will be a response. Response means if the URL is working perfectly, the response would be response 400 or sorry 200. Otherwise, there'll be an error of response 404. Right. Let's try to run this code also. this. Before that, I have to save flight quota test. Yeah, so response 200 is coming up. Every 5 seconds, I'm getting the response. Okay. Now I want to check the data. For that, this data is actually a form of data. So there are, if you talk about data analysis, we have to understand that how many form of data are actually good to work with. Okay. So it's like JSON format, JSON, Excel. People use local databases through Excel also, EXEL. They used to work with CSV as well, comma separated values. Right? People are good to work with XML as well, XML. So these are the data formats, right, which are generally in use for for storing your data and communicating over the cloud, over the websites, over the platforms, or over the applications, right? Either hardware or software or mobile app or website. Okay, so these are the popular formats generally being used. So right now, which the response that we are getting, right, in curly braces, something like that, right? So it's a response form of JSON. It's a JSON format basically, right? So how do we work in JSON? Let's try to see this. So here we can decode that data d.json from JSON to normal form. So actually whatever we are receiving, we'll receive that data in the JSON format. Okay, let me run this again. Yeah, so entire response is coming up. Latest 5 responses are coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 responses are coming up. Right? So do we need the entire response? No, we want this data only, right? We want to get this data only, last values. So how to extract this data? Let's try to understand that as well. So if this is your response, right? So here there are two things. Just try to understand this once. Let me explain this once. So this format is also called as, suppose some of you, if you are aware with Python programming, so we have dictionary format, right? Dictionary data structure in Python, dictionary, right? So how do we work in dictionary? Dictionary has two things: key and value pairs. Key and value pairs. So this is your value and this is your key. So using a key, you will be able to extract its value. Using a key, you will be able to extract its value. Okay, so let me show you how do we, what do I mean by key and value pair and how do we extract it. Suppose I have a data d is equal to, this is my curly braces. I have a key that is suppose a, I have a value that is 100. I have another key that is b, I have a value called suppose 200, right? I have another key that is suppose a b c d, right, and the value is 300. I have another key that is 10. 10 means hello. So key can be anything and response or value could also be anything. Okay, so suppose I want to access 100, I want to access 200. So you can access values with the help of keys. So I want to access 100. So how will you access? D of a. D of a means 100. Similarly, D of b means 200. D of a b c d is 300. D of 10 is hello, right? And that hello is a string. So D of 10 of 0 means H. So you can access every single location of this string also. So first of all, what we have access? We have access the entire data, and then you can access any location also. D of 10 of 1 means E, the second location, because here indexing starts from 0, right? So key and then indexing. This is how we'll be able to access the entire data, right? This is how Python basics or data structure works. Okay. Apart from this, one more data structure is there in Python that is called as list. Suppose my data is R. I have a variable R. I have a list that is in capital bracket. So I'm writing 12, 34, 56, 67, right? These four numbers. I want to access this 12. So I can access directly R of 0. R of 0 is 12. R of 1 is 34. R of 3 is 67, right? What if I'm writing like this? D is equal to curly braces. Just try to understand this. I'm writing D is equal to curly braces within bracket. Okay, so A is my key. I have a value that is in capital bracket. Okay, I have data in capital bracket, and inside this again I'm writing curly braces, and I'm writing here A B C as 1000, right? And I have another value, suppose XYZ, that is 2000, right? I could have another key that could be X, which will be, suppose, hello Saurabh. Right, so this is my first key, this is my second key, right? This is my second key value pair, right? So key and value pair, right? This is my first key value pair. So here the key is A and the value is this. Inside this we have the first value as my dictionary, inside which this is the key and this is pair. This is key, this is pair. Okay. So now this is my data that is available in D. I want to access hello Saurabh. I want to access hello Saurabh. How do I access? D of X. D of X is hello Saurabh. Very easy. If I'll access D of A, which is entire data. Now because the capital bracket is coming, and how do we access capital bracket? Using an index, right? I want to access the entire data inside, because this is my first entry. So how will I access D of A of 0? Because this is your 0, entire data is 0, right? So now you have got the curly braces once again. So curly braces means D of A of 0 of. Now you have to again write that key, and that is ABC. Now you'll be able to access 1000. You'll be able to access 2000. How you'll be able to access any specific data inside. This is what we have data available in a response of this entire field, right? So if we'll understand this data properly, we'll be getting to know. So the first bracket is coming like this. So this bracket is having the first value as channel. Channel is a key, and this bracket is ending somewhere here, right? So this is my entry, this is my data, this is my response. You can say this is your value of your key, that is channel. So if I have, this was D, right? Okay, so let's try to store this D.json into data. Let me show you. Okay, here data should be written. Okay. Yeah, so here we have got this data as a response, which is coming in data, right? So data of, if I'll write channel here. So what has been response? This was the response till this curly braces. This is our first entry. Now the second entry is feeds. So if I'll write here data of feeds. So this is my entire response. And you can see curly braces is capital bracket is coming. And in capital bracket, this capital bracket is starting from this point and ending at this point. Means if I'll write here data of feeds of 0, which means I'll be coming with this first entry. This is my second entry. This is my third entry. This is my fourth entry. This is my fifth entry, right? If I'll write here as 1, means I'll be coming in second entry. If I'll write here 2, I'll be coming with a third entry, right? So one by one, I'll just keep on going with the entries, right? In this list. And this list defines that how many responses that you have. If I would have, if I want to check the length of data of feeds, right? It will tell you, okay, how many values do you have? How many lists do you have? Right? So what if I'll write here data of feeds of 0 of, now if this is your response, I want to just check field 1. I don't want to hear about entry number, this and that, right? I just want to hear about field 1, right? So here I'll write here field 1 as my one of the key, and the value pair is this. So key value is this. Okay, so now I'll get the response, exact response of that entry, right? What do we need to do with this response? That will decide later on. But this is how we have extracted the information, right? This is our first information, right? So what I'll do, if I'll just change this 0 with I, I'll have a, let me just have for loop I in range within bracket 5, okay? And I would run this data of feeds of I of field 1. What will happen? I've got the actual data which has been sent from this Raspberry Pi, right? So all these value that we have received in 5 different, status, and all these 5 values are different. Now we have to just extract these 2 values depending upon the time. And I really want, with respect to time, I just want to plot this data. I want to plot and do analyze this data at what time my temperature was high, at what time my humidity was high, and at what time it was quite low. What was the lowest value of temperature? What was the highest value of temperature? What was the lowest value of humidity? What was the average value of humidity? All such analysis can be done. And I'm doing at different computer. I'm doing at a computer which is available in Delhi, which is not available on Bangalore. This Raspberry Pi can be available anywhere in the world, right? I'm independent to the Raspberry Pi. I'm just doing it at my different end, right? So let's try to do this in our programming as well, okay? So the first important thing is we have to extract our data like this using for loop. Okay. So we receive this data to a variable. Suppose that variable is maybe display data dd is equal to blank. Okay. So dd, let me write it here, dd dot append like this. Means one by one this data will be extracted and will be received in dd. Let me just print DD only. Let me keep it. Comment. And what happened? Yeah. If I'll run this code, I hope I'll just get only 5 entries. Yeah, so only 5 entries are available. These five entries are available in DD, right? So DD of 0, DD of 1, DD of 2, DD of 3. Likewise, all these values are available, right? I want to extract only temperature in a different variable. Let me have temperature temp is equal to blank. Similarly, humidity HUM is equal to blank list, right? So what do I need to do? I need to extract this from, suppose this is DD of 0 is this. I want to extract this. How to do it? So DD of 0 dot split. This is a function based on space. So based on space, it will split entire thing, right? You can see it. Now I want to extract, reach out to this. So this is my first entry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want to reach out to this. I want to reach out to this, right? So and also at this time, we've got this. Okay, so this is my entries 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth, on fifth we have temperature, on sixth we have humidity. So if I'll receive this, I'll store this into actual DD is equal to this add of 5 will be the temperature and add of actual data of 6 will be the humidity. The temperature will be this 14 and humidity will be this 18, right? And these are coming in, again, string format. So you cannot plot a data with string values. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to just convert that again into integer format. So what do I need to do? I need to just use this. Let me copy it and use it here again. Right. I have to just get it into ADD, right? Now, not only 0, it should be I for all these values. Okay, so I've got everything into ADD. Now I have to get everything into temperature dot append within bracket ADD of 5. And in fact, I have to convert that into int. Similarly, instead of temperature, we should have humidity dot append integer ADD of 6. And let's try to print these two values, temp versus humidity. If I'll run this code, yeah, so we are getting, these are the temperature values and these are the humidity values, right? Okay, so if I'll do one thing, my temperature is this, right? So max value of temperature temp is 29. Min value of temperature is this. How can we have average? Do we have average? No. So temp dot okay, so we can do one thing. Sum of temp is this. So sum of temperature and divided by length of temperature will give you average value, right? Which is coming as 22, right? So let's try to do this. Print. This is our analysis, right? So minimum temperature noticed as mean value of TEMP right? So minimum or maximum temperature noticed as max of this, average temperature is noticed as sum of temperature divided by length of temperature, right? So copy this, minimum humidity, maximum humidity, or average humidity. So instead of temperature, it will be humidity and right. That's it. Let me run this again. Right. So these are the real-time values, right? However, I'm getting the same values because I'm not running Raspberry Pi program. Let me run this Raspberry Pi program on the parallel side. Okay. If I'll run this program parallelly, Raspberry Pi is sending the information. On the other side, on the real time, we'll be able to receive the information. Valid syntax. What happened? So, so yeah. So now we are sending this information, right? Perfect. And on the other side, see here, 13, 80, 23, 80, 54, 22, 80, something like this. And on the other side, let's just check 13, 29, 21.8, 51, 80, 68.6. Like this is how we are getting the values, right? And it's in real time. Here on the other side, we are getting these values. On the other side, I mean, from one side, Raspberry Pi is sending the information. Okay. Now let me tell you how can we plot the graphs also. Okay. Let me stop this process. Let me stop this process as well. Okay. So there is a library called matplotlib. Matplotlib.pyplot as plt. plt. Okay. So matplotlib library is exactly like MATLAB software. Okay. So in MATLAB softwares we have few commands just to play with graphs, right? So here in Python we have matplotlib library module, or you can say library package, I would say. And inside this, pyplot is a module which works with 2D graphs, right? Either you need a bar graph, line plot, right, scattered plot, pie charts. All such things could be available and visible in real time. Okay, so plt dot plot, this is the command. Plt dot plot is a command. We have to write x values. Okay, we have to give x coordinate versus y coordinate values, right? So suppose x is 1 2 3 4 5 and y is a random data, right? 23 45 67 12 45, right? Like this. So it will plot your graph basically. So plt.plot is to plot the graph, but to show that we have a command called show, plt.show. Now this is how we'll plot the data with line graph. So this was the first value, which was 1 versus 23, then 2 versus 45, 2 versus 45. Okay, right. So 1 versus 23, 2 versus 45. It may be coming in the same line, and 3 versus 67, 3 versus 67, and 4 versus 12 maybe, I guess. Yeah, 12 it was, and then 5 versus 45. Right, but we never know whether where exactly those points are. So what we can do, plt dot plot. In fact, let me copy the entire data. Okay, and the third parameter here in this command is you can even give instead of line graph, you can give dots also. Okay, so star will be coming instead of the complete line basically. If you want it in red line, you can a red color, sorry. So it could be given a color here as well in third parameter. So plt dot show again will show you the points. So these were the points, right? If I want line and graph, I mean line and points, both of them at the same time. So I'll just copy the same thing again, and I'll not use third parameter here. Even if you need third parameter, you can go with suppose green color and with dotted line, right? You can keep it like this also. And plt dot show the graph. So dotted line along with the points, right? So this is how we'll be able to plot 5 different values every moment, every time in real world, real time, right? So let me copy this line of code. Right, and here we are getting 5 different values in temperature and humidity both. We'll be getting, let me just write serial number or time. Tm is equal to 1 2 3 4 5. We can get real time also, no issues in that, right? We can extract real time data also from the the extracted values which we are extracting or receiving from the Raspberry Pi end. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 with respect to temperature, 1 2 3 4 5 with respect to humidity, we have to plot. Okay, so plt dot plot within bracket Tm versus temperature, time versus temperature for dotted line in green color, Tm versus temperature, star with red line, right? Let me just show that also. Yeah, so this was the graph. It will always be same since we are not sending it, we're not running this program. Let me just run this again. The Raspberry Pi side. Yeah, so this time it was different. Every time I'll close and it'll get reopened. Yeah, so have different values altogether. So now the graph, the shape of graph is getting changed. This was only temperature, right? Let me do it for humidity also. Let me just change the color, dotted line with another color, the segment with the blue color. Save and run this. We'll have both the graphs on the same window. One window will be coming with the two different graphs. And with color only we can understand that. See, because temperature and range will be lower and humidity range will be little higher. So these two graphs will be plotted on the same window. And it's coming in real time. Right? In fact, if you want to give a title here, plt dot title temperature time versus temperature and humidity graph dot x label. In x direction we want to show time, plt dot y label show temperature right. In fact, we can write here plt dot legend. It will automatically show two things. First graph was the first graph was temperature, and second was for humidity. Set. Save this and run. Yeah. So there's a small dot box here coming up. We have to decide the range for legend, but still see in the y-axis temperature and humidity, in x-axis time is coming up. This is your title and this is your graph. If I'll yeah, so the shape of graph is getting changed. If I'll again close this and run it, it will keep on running. Whenever we want to analyze, we can analyze that. And it's a kind of graph which requires your cancellation to actually continue with the same process, right? It holds your graph until or unless you don't close it, right? So this is how you're getting the values. And on the other side, Raspberry Pi is doing its own task. It's sending the real-time values from the sensors, right?
So may I ask a doubt?
Please.
So in the program where you were writing the data to ThinkSpeak, so
Yes.
may I ask, we have to always create one field or we can create multiple fields, because
You can create
sometimes
multiple fields, no issues.
we can create multiple fields.
Yes. With one
So
channel,
then
fields are possible to create.
then how would we manage to change this program so that we can read the data from multiple fields in
Right.
real time?
Right. So here instead of field 1, at the time of writing your data, you have to change this variable also. So
Okay, at the time of writing, we only have to change it because in API we are getting field 1 only.
correct. So this URL will be like, so entire URL till this moment will be the same, and this field 1 will be getting changed to 2, 3, 4, 5 like this.
So if we create 3 field, we only have to change it. In ThinkSpeak, it gives only for one field.
Correct. It will only give you one channel. With respect to one channel, there are 8 fields possible.
Okay, so they have given API under the API key section, but there they give only field 1.
Correct.
So we have to change it to 2, 3. Then we will be able to write the data to different fields, and then we can also read the data similarly.
Correct. And that
Okay.
too, even I'll tell you. Just a second. Here, when we were creating our channels, I'll create a new channel here. First of all, I have to activate this also. 3, 4, like this, right? As test. So APIs are same, right?
Right.
But here, instead of field 1, you can change it to 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have created a channel like where you have activated all 8 fields basically for your data communication, right? Here you can change the settings also anytime whenever you want.
What is the concept of fields? When do we introduce more fields?
Yeah, so field is like, so you can see here in public view and private view, there are you if you want to show your graphs, take data
Is it
input.
like different sensors are to be on different fields?
Yeah, so people are comfortable with different fields if different sensors are getting communicating, right? Or I'm comfortable, in any ways with one field only I can be getting all the data, right? But I would tell you, um, uh, if I'll go in API keys here, what happens? There's a limit for this URL basically, right? There's a limit for this URL that you cannot extend your number of characters for this URL more than 100 characters or 80 characters, 70 characters. Got it? Suppose there'll be 8 fields and you are sending around 20 characters in one field itself. There'll be a limit for one particular URL to send the entire information. So if you have just only 2 character information like we had temperature and humidity, it's good to go with one single field. If you have more amount of information to be shared, better to have different fields. Got it? So the way we are comfortable for exchanging the information and extracting the data, it's good to use number of fields in channel,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
right? So this was all from my side. Basically I just wanted to share whether how can we share the information from one point to another, and it was good to see that we were able to achieve this within a stipulated time. And this was because of you, I believe. In between we didn't had any interaction, and I had got a chance to just communicate or transfer whatever I had through in my mind. So it was very good. Now let me know whether if you have questions we can go ahead with the discussion and talking about those questions itself. Any question, anyone, please?
So could you explain a little more about ThinkSpeak? Uh, could we also do some processing there, or we should take the data in Python and then we should do the processing?
Yeah, so at ThinkSpeak also we have possibilities of using these channels, right? Since like you can add on couple of new visualizations, right? Like here you are getting, we have got 8 fields, right? So every whatever data with respect to each single field that you are receiving on ThinkSpeak itself. If you're okay to check, then you can just visualize everything itself here on ThinkSpeak. You don't need any Python interaction like I'm doing here. Got it?
Okay,
If you want
but the processing I think is paid, so that cannot be done.
yeah, correct. Uh, Up to a limit, it's free, but definitely after a moment, we have to just pay something, some amount, some licensing should be there.
So then we have to use Python to take the data in.
Ah, yeah, correct. I even see how beautiful or beautifully that they have given the entire segments, gauze, numeric display, lamp indicators. So it's a just graphic display. You can create your own graphics in terms of graphs or in terms of these widgets, right? Using some pictures, because in Python we have image library, computer vision library. We can add on using Kinter also we can have GUI section, right, using Python. So people who are not or not interested to write a program, better to work with this thing speak as a visualizer. Otherwise better to use Python in other place. And I don't mind if people will be interested just going with you know things speak visualization. It depends upon the interest, and it depends upon the situation and mindset of the people. So like I said, there were data formats: JSON, XML, and CSV. These three formats are quite popular on website, right, for exchanging information. And for local or static database, Excel, definitely Excel is Excel is the king, in local databases or local file sharing, file formats.
So one last question on ThinkSpeak. Is there any limit on the data that can be sent from ThinkSpeak to Python? How many like bytes or bits per second?
No, there is no limit. There's no limit. In fact,
Okay.
and creating this type of a platform for sharing the information is quite easy. You can create your own website for this. Just you need to write two APIs. For
Right.
for that you need to just understand one database. It could be MySQL database. It could be MySQL, and one programming language. Either it could be Python, Django. That's it. Or framework, I would say. In fact, if you don't this with JavaScript, it will be easy to work with such kind of API creation. So API means nothing. API is a direct method of interaction with this database, right? Anyhow, your data is somewhere getting stored online, right? In tabular format, in ordered or structured format, right? And those platforms like ThinkSpeak or your own platform will give permission to access those fields. That's it. This is it. API is nothing but to access or directly accessing your database values. How do you create it? Whether these APIs are secure, whether these are encrypted, which method are you using, get or post. Post is little secure, get is little unsecure, because in get method the entire data is actually bound with this URL only. If somebody will hack this URL, he will be able to actually relocate your database into somewhere else, right? Somebody can prepare the entire database with the same URL. So once you hit, your data could be actually getting saved into two different databases. You will never know whether where exactly your data has been routed. So in that case, Post is quite good. Post is quite good, and Delete API is also there. RESTful API is also very popular. Well, any other question, please?
Thank you, sir. That was a very nice session.
So much, ma'am. So I have things in mind to just tell, but if I'll start, then I would say it'll not be completing in next 10-15 minutes. So better I thought like I should stop myself and let me see if people are interested, so they can have questions and we can have interaction for that. Let me ask once again if anyone from this list is having any doubt, we can discuss upon that. Okay, so before we leave, I would say like we can have the sharing through digital screenshots. Can we just turn on our camera and have two screenshots basically? Can we do that? If everybody of you are listening, everybody is available on the other side of the screen. Let me start. Oh,
Sir, can we have it tomorrow, sir?
no issues, sir. I will not be available, however. Okay, so well, so thank you everyone. Yes, you have some more sessions basically continually going on with other resource persons as well. So this is it from my side. Hopefully we'll meet maybe in other programs or activities. I'll get more chance to connect with you once again. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interact with you, and it was wonderful that I silently was speaking on, and you were also I hope listening on the other side, and I might have just shared the valuable information, and definitely should be helping you out in the future. So I'm just quitting it from the meeting, right? So thank you everyone once again. Bye.